This video will show you a secret to following through with your intentions and to actually enjoy taking action. I'm going to share with you some research that I found on this idea and how it's changed the whole process and the way I go about it. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you something that I read in a book. It's a book that's by Amy Cuddy, who had the famous TED Talk where she is putting her hands on her hips and doing what's called a power pose, and how doing a power pose will change physiologically the kind of hormones in your body. So you'll have an increase in dopamine and serotonin and a decrease in cortisol. Now, that was a famous TED Talk she had. She has 2 or 3 books out, and one of her books is called Presence. And it's a book that I read maybe a month or 2 ago, and there was this one idea that I wrote down in my notes in my iPhone, and that's why I wanted to make a video on it, and it's something that I applied in my life and have seen great difference with. Now, she talked about a research study where people were able to see a generated picture of themselves in the, like a generated picture of themselves as they would do with like technology, to see like what somebody would look like maybe 20, 30 years in the future. What they did is they had people who smoked cigarettes, and what they did is they generated a picture of what they would look like if they did smoke cigarettes to if they didn't smoke cigarettes, and what would they would look 20 to 30 years from now. Now, this is where the power of this research comes in. The people that saw photos of themselves of what they would look like 20 or 30 years later if they continued to smoke cigarettes were 2 times as more likely to quit smoking cigarettes just from seeing that photo. Now, the idea behind this is when we have an outcome, or when we have something we're able to see of ourselves and we're able to make it something that much more real, we're much more likely to follow through, because then we have that reference experience. Whereas people that weren't aware of what they would look like, and they weren't even aware of that and weren't even thinking about that, would much less likely to change. Now, the power of this and the way that I've applied it in my own life is I think now, if I'm to follow through and taking action with my goals and take action with everything I'm doing, what would my life be like in maybe 5 months from now, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now? With that vision in mind and with that outcome of the way I prefer to be and the kind of results that I want when it comes to success, what I found is I'm much more likely to follow through, and it's much easier to take action because I'm very strong on that vision. So if you find that it's hard to follow through, if you find that maybe you're procrastinating, what I encourage you to do is to get down to the core of what your goals are, of why you want whatever you want, and also to have a strong visualization for what that is, to know what that outcome is. You know, 90% of people don't have goals at all. They don't have something they're working towards. They're just kind of on autopilot. They're going into their job, they're coming home, they don't really enjoy what they do. What I encourage you to do is to become aware of what you're thinking, to become aware of your intentions for what your goals are for maybe a year from now. And not just to have that goal, but to really view yourself and to see what that would be like. You know, as I said, and I mentioned this a lot in my videos, I made the decision back in February to create a video a day. And from that decision, a lot has changed and a lot of growth has happened. And that was from one question: what action can I take every day that would dramatically change my life over the course of the next year? And since then, I've still made a video a day no matter what. Now, what made it easy for me to take all of that action? You know, when I first started doing these daily videos, I had a job. I had a sales job where I went in 40 hours a week, plus I was creating these videos. I was working non-stop. But why was it easy for me to take action? Now, the reason that is because I had such a strong picture for what my life would be like if I took so much action. I knew that I could get rid of a job I didn't care for. I knew that I could generate more means of abundance. I knew that I could generate more opportunities in my life if I took action every single day, and that's what I did. Now, it made it easier because I had a strong outcome for what I wanted to experience. And that's the power of this video, is knowing that if you experience procrastination, if it's hard for you to take inspired action, become much more clear about what your goals are and what your outcomes are. And secondly, develop reference experiences where you know that it's possible. Now, in order to do this, what you can do is study people that have already done it. If you are an artist, there are people that have at certain levels created art every day and found ways of creating a studio or creating a website and selling their art to other people or giving it away to influencers. You see, there's so many different ways with internet to go about creating abundance or creating the ability to turn your side hustle into your full-time. It requires a shift in paradigm. In order to shift your paradigm, you must create new reference experiences. You must study and model people who are already successful. And there are people, I guarantee you, that are already successful in your passion. You just have to find books that they've written. You have to find blogs that they've written. You have to find people maybe in the everyday life. Maybe go down to art studios and talk to people if that's what you're passionate about. Talk to these people, get around them, learn from them, and then start to apply it in your own life. So the more that you develop these reference experiences, the more that you stretch yourself, and the more that then you know, hey, this is something that I can do as well. I just have to apply myself. So that's the power of this video, of knowing that you can have a much more powerful vision and outcome for whatever your goals are, that as you become clear that what that is, you're getting ahead of the game. Most people don't have any goals at all. You know, I've heard the study, it was something that I think Earl Nightingale talks about, and they say that back in the day they did this study where they had people that were at a high school reunion or a college reunion, I can't remember, and what they did is they found out that the people that actually had goals were in like the top 2 or 3% of the people of their income bracket, of all of those people that were there. And the idea behind this is that those people that wrote down their goals were much more abundant than all of the other people. If you combined all the income that they've made, those like 2 or 3% dominated. So the idea is, what goals do you have? And not only what goals do you have, but how strong is that vision and how you see yourself. And if it's very clear, you're gonna move towards that. You're gonna feel gravity that pulls you towards that. So that's what I encourage you to do, is to have that in your mind, to take action and know that as you do it, you are getting closer and closer to how you prefer to be. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, in the description box, I put the top 5 books that I recommend. 2 of these books are literally less than 50 pages. You can read them in less than 2 hours. They're books that absolutely transform my life, so hopefully you guys receive the same thing. So other than that, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste.